Estate.
Did-
Heard exclusively on Newstalk 970, WKHM.
Well, there you go.
Around the world on WKHM.com, on the internet,
Yes.
at thinkingrealestate.com.
Seriously, if I knew the audience was that huge, I probably would be shaking in my boots here. Really, I'd be nervous.
So how come, when I'm at the Y, sometimes on one of the channels, they have some radio show that's on the TV? I don't know who it is, because I can't hear it.
How would
so.
I know?
Anyhow, but they all have
I'm here.
headphones on. How come we don't have headphones so we look like really professional?
You can, there's some right there. You want to put them
Okay.
on?
They don't plug into anything, Laura, and they
Oh, they
probably
do
might
plug
not,
in.
okay?
They do plug in. You can put
Well,
those
these are
on.
taped up. Do you think, maybe I'll get you some for Christmas.
That means they're good
Oh,
when
'cause-
there's Scotch tape on them.
It's if they're duct tape that they're bad, right?
Here, there's.
there you go.
Oh, whoops.
Well, yeah.
That
For
was not
those of
very
you that
good.
can't see what's going on,
Now I broke
Greg
somebody's.
just picked up a headset and the earpiece fell off.
Jackie could scan around with the camera.
No, don't, Jackie. I'll fix it.
All right, so I thought we could talk about, I have a transaction that, since new construction is becoming more
back.
prevalent, yeah.
It's bad.
I thought maybe we could talk about, in renovations of property, what happens if somebody buys a parcel that needs to be split? What are some of the things that we need to pay attention to?
Sure. Look, Greg, I've been accused by my co-radio person here of monopolizing the conversation from time to
No,
time.
can you believe that?
So
From time to time.
I'm going to make this a dialogue as opposed to a monologue. So sure, what do you want to talk about? I'm more than happy to discuss whatever subject is on your brain.
Well, let's see. I've got one. They're buying a lot in a subdivision, and it's a condo, kind of minimized. I'm starting to.
Well, then it's not a
confuse.
subdivision.
Well, okay.
That's first order business.
But in their mind, it's a subdivision. FYI.
Subdivision is under the Land Division Act.
I mean, they're
The
not driving
condominium
in
is
the
under
street and saying,
Condominium
"Oh,
Act.
this is a condominium association."
Well, I mean, there's a difference. So it's not a
but
sub,
in
it's a
the
condominium.
in the person's mind, they're
It's a site
it's
condo.
but it's a
It's a development. It's a residential
I
development.
don't know
How's that?
what you're talking about.
Okay. That's a.
We got condominiums,
and
subdivisions.
Those are two different things.
right. And this segues from his lengthy dialogue on
Monologue.
monologue on legal descriptions from last
Right.
time.
Okay. So they're
So
going
it's
into their
like
developments, a condominium.
Condominium
And what do you want to
association.
know?
So what do they need to look at? Raw piece of land.
Oh, okay. So it's a site condo. They're buying the lot, and then they're going to construct their own residence on it. It's not a spec
Correct.
home or anything
Right.
like that.
And I don't think this subdivision, sometimes the subdivisions have restrictions on builders. I don't think this one has that. They can use any builder they want.
Right, yeah, what you're talking about is where the developer says have to use one off of a list of builders or
Or
a
them.
particular builder, yeah, or the
Like
developer
the
is also a
Norfolk
builder.
Homes has a
Right.
couple of subdivisions that they are the only builders that
Right.
can build in there.
Right, but you don't have that limitation. Well, let me throw it right back to you, as a realtor representing buyers, what is it that you would advise your buyers to look at?
Well, in that particular instance, I need them to see the condominium association documents.
Which would be, what are they?
I don't understand that question.
What are the documents? In other words, what are the condominium
The
documents?
master plan and the bylaws, is that what you're talking about?
Not a master plan, it's a master deed.
Master
Master
deed,
deed
yes.
is the document that establishes the condominium. That will be the first order of business. Look at the master deed, see if there's anything in it that is important to the buyer. Look for things that might affect the buyer's use of the property. Okay, what else would they look at?
Is this a quiz? I mean, if I get something wrong, am I gonna,
This
you
is-
better be called out?
This is the Socratic method of interrogation.
Jeez. So bylaws,
Yeah, condominium bylaws, you're gonna find out that the master deed is usually a pretty standard instrument, setting up what the units are, setting up what the common elements are, and the limited common
and
elements.
it's showing a survey of the property.
And it shows it
The plan
shows
survey.
the actual plan of the development, with all of the lots. All of the lots have to be numbered sequentially. These are all the requirements for a master deed. But as I say, there is the individual unit, which is owned by the condominium owner himself or herself. Then there are the common elements. Those are not owned by the association. A lot of people make the common mistake, that the common elements are owned by the association. They are owned by all of the condominium unit owners as tenants in common. It's not the association that owns them. The association has the right to manage the common elements, but they're owned by the individual unit owners. The same is true of limited common elements. Limited common elements are again owned by all of the condominium unit owners as tenants in common. However, limited common element would be something like a patio in back of the unit, something that's dedicated to the use of a particular condominium unit. So you look at the master deed for those things. But you're right, you look at the bylaws, and the bylaws contain a whole host of things regulating the use of the condominium, the setbacks, which may be even more restrictive than the local ordinance.
But they could be different than the local ordinance, so they have to look at the local ordinance also? Or
No,
will
no,
they
no,
have-
no. They will conform to the local ordinance. You know,
So I don't have to worry about talking to the local municipality about setbacks?
Probably not, because the condominium master deed, when it got approved, had to be signed off by the local municipality. So they've determined that all of the setbacks are met, et cetera. But what happens is the bylaws may set forth very detailed architectural
Like
requirements.
912 roof pitch,
Could be anything like
exterior,
that.
all has to be natural or something like that.
Right, and then it could also, there's a very recent case decided within the last several weeks by the Court of Appeals where a condominium unit owner did not get approval from the architectural committee of the board of directors of the condominium association. And the court said, hey, you've got an absolute requirement to get approval. You did not. You went and you got the approval of one of the members of the board, but that's not sufficient. Your bylaws are very strict, or very specific, and require
So the
you to do
bylaw's
this.
gonna tell me whether or not I have to go and get approval.
Bylaws are gonna tell you what you have to do in order to get approval to build that building. And then the bylaws may refer to rules and regulations, which is a separate document. So as a condominium purchaser, even of a vacant lot, which is actually a unit in a condominium, you wanna look at that master deed, you wanna look at the bylaws and any rules or regulations. And then you also wanna talk to a member of the board of directors, find out if there's anything unusual about the condominium, and then the title company's also gonna check, or you wanna make certain that the title company or that the realtor checks to make certain that all assessments are properly paid. One of the issues that we're having on condominium purchases, sales and purchases, is that the condominium unit has been taken over by a lender, and the lender has not paid the assessments.
But those get paid at closing.
Well, they're supposed to get paid, somebody needs to check on them.
Well,
but
we have a
sometimes they-
very good title company in town, so.
Well, a lot of title companies will specifically exclude assessments, condominium assessments. They say, we have not checked for assessments. And so
Oh, yeah.
it's up to.
That's already on the pre-commitment of the title work on this one, so,
Right.
yeah. And then when
Hey, they
they're,
can even tell you what color you can paint your house.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
the city can
condo,
do that too.
site condo.
What? No, they can't. City can't do that.
There's something in our ordinance about the color.
I don't believe that.
The question on that
Are
one is
you,
whether
are you serious?
Uh-huh, I think so.
Because I've
municipality.
seen some,
I know I've painted mine pretty early.
Municipality really has no business interfering with the aesthetics of a property owner. That's the expression of free speech. But in a private development,
Yeah.
there isn't. It's not state action protected under the Constitution. So there's a lawyer who did a development down in Tecumseh, or Adrian, Tecumseh, I think it is, where all of the homes are Victorian style. He wanted it set up so that it was particular, like an old style community, street lamps and Victorian homes, etc. And you
cool.
can do that.
What about, so when they're laying out the lots in a condominium association, are there irons in each corners of the
No,
lots?
no, usually not.
So it's just a drawing, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's no requirement under the law that they actually put a stake at the corner of each lot. They simply have to, the surveyor has to go out, or the engineer has to develop using what's known as an XY axis all of the points within the condominium.
All right, and then in this situation, you have to get DEQ approval? Or
Why?
DNR, or do
No.
you have to do wetlands delineation?
Why? Only if they're wetlands.
Well, at what point, how do you determine, because that was one of the contingencies I wrote in there.
I'm not sure I understand. No, in other words, but you could have a unit within a condominium that is wetland in whole or in part, and so then you would do it. But as a developer, if I had wetlands on the property, I've got to have those included as part of the plan of development or the
Well, in this
Master
particular
deed.
lot, there has to be a wetlands delineation, despite the fact when I walked it, and I'm no wetlands expert, but I know enough to be dangerous. It's, high and dry, the house is next door, built in the same line of sight, and it slopes down, so, but it required a wetlands delineation.
Who required a wetlands
I don't know,
delineation?
I'm asking you. Apparently, we had to have one done.
Okay, you keep saying, well, apparently we had to have one done. Who required
I
that to
don't
be
know,
done?
I'm asking you as a lawyer.
I would have
Did
a
I
clue.
stop?
The only reason that I would do it is if there was some risk or concern that a portion of the property was in a regulated wetland.
So is this something that maybe the builder advises them to do?
I have no clue. You'd have to give me the specifics. I don't know the answer to that.
Now, I was
think-
watching one of those rehab shows the other day, and this guy buys houses all the time and flips them, okay? It's the dorky guy with the good-looking wife. with the
That sounds
blonde.
like Bill.
No, I didn't say that.
But you set it up well.
But they do this all the time, right? They rehab houses, and the guy had the whole outside painted. He knew he was in not a kind of what
in a condominium, in
No.
a wetland, in a
in
what?
a
I don't know.
private
Subject to
Association.
private restrictions. What?
an association,
And okay, condominium
like a
association.
gated.
What are we doing? Playing charades? Can you give that for the people that get
No, we're
can't
not.
see what's going on? Yeah, he was waving an index finger around. He just changed the digit on his hand.
Oh,
This is
gosh.
great. This is great. You're flipping me the bird after you
No,
insulted
come on.
me. Come on.
I wouldn't do something like that. He painted it. The guy painted the whole house, and the guy from the association rolls in and says,
You
"You
can't
gotta
paint it."
repaint this house."
Yeah, okay, right. Because he painted a color
Well,
that
that's
wasn't
drama.
permitted under the restrictions.
Right, and it wasn't anything outrageous, but he said, this association, whatever it is,
Yeah,
everything had to
doesn't permit
be
it. Right.
like a very beigey earth
Mauve.
tone or something. It was just ridiculous.
Ecru.
So if you
No,
overdrank
mauve
one
was good.
if you overdrank one night, you might end up at the wrong house.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. I mean, but
it happens.
Well,
I
but
know.
wait a second. Oh, you don't have to go any farther than the nice development that your mom used to live in, right around the corner here. What's the name of that one?
Lakewood Glen or
Lakewood or whatever it is. There, it's all fairly standard design, etc.
Yeah.
And it's intended so that you do have not complete uniformity, but so that there's consistency in terms of design, and it's a nice development. But that's a development that had great concern with wetlands. It was built in an area that was filled with wetlands, and they had to work with the DEQ in order to get a permit. What you're talking about is an individual lot within an already established condominium association where there's concern about wetlands because
But how
of-
do you determine what triggers something that says, "Oh, I've got to get a wetlands delineation"?
it looks like a wetland.
Okay, well,
And the wetland.
I would have said it didn't look
okay.
like a wetland, so
Well,
I
but-
wouldn't
but
have
you're not-
typically
Wouldn't
advised
that
that.
be in
But
the-
somebody else said he needed
No.
one.
Wouldn't that be in the bylaws of the association?
No, it wouldn't be in the bylaws. If in fact there were wetlands that were delineated at the time the master deed was done, then they would be delineated within Exhibit B to the master deed, which is a diagram. But they may not be, and there's some, I did a deal for one of Jackie's friends where they were considering purchasing a lot in an existing association, an existing condo, and there was concern about wetlands. Wetlands are determined, there are three criteria for determining wetlands. One is the type of soils, are they more organic or less organic? Two, type of vegetation. There are certain species that are more closely identified with wetlands environments than upland environments. And three, the hydrology. Does the property get flooded from time to time? And so you apply those three criteria to determine if it's a wetland.
But my point is,
How would you as a layperson
yeah, I
know?
mean, because if as a layperson, I'm gonna say, well, there's no wetlands here. I'm no expert, so am I required to just use my own best judgment? Or am I supposed to check on that?
Well, you can
And
investigate.
If so, where do I check?
Well, the municipality has a wetlands map, and so you can go check the wetlands map at the municipality. Now, unfortunately, the wetlands map may not be completely accurate because wetlands are dynamic, they change. What was an upland could be now a wetland. What was a wetland could now be an upland. So, I don't know how to answer that question. If there's any concern about it whatsoever, then you build a contingency into the purchase agreement, says that this is conditional upon verification the property does not lie within a regulated wetland.
I'm more concerned with this dorky guy with the blonde wife.
Me?
How could he paint
She's
this whole?
redhead. Oh,
I mean, he's done it all.
well,
He's bought these houses for years. And he paints the whole house without checking.
Well, that's drama. Don't you think this
yeah,
is
that's
drama?
probably just
No.
That's
No?
probably.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure
But-
it's staged.
But the guy's just making himself look like an idiot.
An idiot?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's got one thing going for him. He married a good-looking blonde.
Well, okay.
Okay.
He's not that.
So he's
dumb.
not completely stupid. I
I'll
don't
have to
know.
figure out the name of that show.
Look, the big case over in Bloomfield Township that we talked about, I don't know, a couple months ago, where the lawyer, I think it was lawyers, a couple lawyers, built the property that violated a setback. And they were required by the Court of Appeals to actually tear it down. It was the Webb case, W-E-B-B. So, look, people do lots of stupid things. I was up
Well, I
north.
want to, before you start ranting about that, I wanted to ask
I
you.
don't call it ranting, I call it discussing.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about we're limited on time here, so you have to answer in 10 words or less. What about a road maintenance agreement? Common road maintenance, and a common road doesn't have a maintenance agreement, and should the buyers be insisting on one? And let's say there's 7 to 10 property owners that use this existing road.
Your question was a zillion words. My answer is yes.
That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You did that.
Okay.
And if they
Occasionally
get,
I actually
and
do it
if
right.
they do a road maintenance agreement and they get, let's say there's 10 property owners, they get 7 of the people to sign, but the other 3 don't.
Doesn't work.
It's not enforceable?
No,
You
I
can't
mean,
record
can't-
it and.
No, you can't enforce against people that don't sign it. That's one of the
Well,
problems.
right, but can it be recorded and there it is against their property
No.
of record?
No, let's talk about this next week, road maintenance
All
agreements.
right, fine.
Open houses?
I
coming
do
up?
have open house, 999.
Evanston.
Yes. 79.9. This is a great house. It is 2,400 square feet for $80,000. It is a brand new kitchen. It's a kitchen to die for, and it's got a very cool main floor bathroom with laundry in it. It is 1.5 baths, and it's 5 bedrooms for
Wow.
$80,000. It's a great house. And then Delacorte, 912 Delacorte is 84.9. It's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, under 800 square feet. That is a short sale, and both of those are open on Sunday from 1 to 2:30. And then we have a new listing at 3310 West Morrell Street. This is a nice ranch, one-time owner, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, 1423 square feet, and this one sits on almost 4 acres, and it's so close to town. It's almost at it's east of Robinson Road, so it's a good location. That's 3310 West Morrell for $149,900. 780-3800.